Are you ready, you fruity bitches? Here he comes! Luca Ray Joy! Was that too much?
Today's episode is not appropriate for children.
You know what really grinds my gears?
What's up, fruity bitches? So, Friday's opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics included a row of drag queens, and honestly, my first thought was Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper painting from the biblical story. As you can imagine, this ruffled some feathers. Some people had some crazy takes. And some of you think it was crazier than it was. Like, I think some of you were claiming that this was a ball sack, but it actually just seems to be a torn piece of the outfit.
Good God, get a grip, girl.
I guess the heart sees what the heart wants. Anyway, I don't want to cancel anyone, and I don't want to pass laws to ban anything, but some of y'all in the media are treating gaslighting like it's an Olympic sport. I'm sure many things inspired this particular drag display, but to pretend the visual similarities between this and the Last Supper don't exist, it's just a little silly. Like, I get that drag is offensive, and I've been told multiple times that the French don't care about our delicate sensibilities. But then just own it, I guess? Like, be offensive, but please don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Like, okay, if they had just owned it, there have been offensive drag queens who have been inspired by Christianity and have owned it. Many of them have, in fact. Like that time that Alaska was Eve from the Old Testament, or when Ashley Madison was Jesus on Snatch Games, or when Monet Exchange was the Pope-looking dude, or when Selena S. Titties was the Blessed Virgin Mary, or the nuns that are all over Drag Race a lot, or that time that Trinity the Duck was the devil, or this one was the devil, or this one was the devil. A lot of them are the devil. Oh, and Katya was possessed, maybe? Look, owning it would have been more straightforward. I feel I wouldn't even be super like stuck up about it. I would have just been like, oh, okay, cool, and moved on. But like, I don't know, the just denial of the obvious. It seems obvious. Look at him. That's what got me all messed up. One other point in this conversation that got me thinking was I heard people saying that they would have never done this kind of thing to Islam or Judaism. And I actually do have an example where a drag queen did take inspiration from Islam. Jackie Cox was inspired by her Iranian family history, a country whose culture is tied to their national religion, Islam. Here's that look. It was one of the most conservative looks to ever grace the runway of RuPaul's, to say the least. It was pretty cool, but I see a difference on how the source material was treated. This versus this. One is inspiration, one is mockery. So, the conversation being that they would never use another religion as inspiration, well, they're definitely less likely to touch on Islam or Judaism, and when they do, it does seem to be a lot more respectful, so it's an interesting thing to look at and think about. Anyway, all of that aside, here is my opinion. And my opinion is informed by my lived experience and my gut reaction to seeing this row of queens. I recognize that other cultures and religions played a role for the inspiration of this particular drag display. But it is my opinion that these other influences are being used as a sort of plausible deniability. If anyone wants to critique the display, or financial supporters threaten to pull out from the Olympics, they can just go, "Why on earth would you think it was inspired by Christianity?" Feigning ignorance. I think this view is supported by the fact that a producer said that The Last Supper was an inspiration, that the
lesbian woman
middle there posted on her social media something like the New Gay Testament, and then later after the backlash started, she took it down, edited the caption, and then reposted it. Like, they saw the similarities. They are aware of the inspiration. Look, let's try another angle. Let's pretend Christianity didn't play a role in the inspiration. Art is, to a degree, up to the interpretation of the viewer, and personally, I try to ensure that my art can't be misconstrued this horribly, and if somehow my art elicited this kind of response, my answer to that criticism and complaint would certainly not be something along the lines of, sorry if y'all got a stick up your ass and can't handle a little drag. I don't know, it just seems very antagonistic for people who didn't mean offense. That's just a vibe, not a quote. I can't imagine there is a group of people angry at my art. They're angry at my art and the subsequent gaslighting of the media, and then claiming that those people who are angry also hate gay people. It's just a weird vibe and a weird response. I don't understand why everyone has to be so offensive and rile up the majority so strongly when we know that LGBT support has been on a downswing. Also, for anyone who has a different take than me, fair enough. The information I'm finding is all over the place. Conflicting information. One article says this, another says another. That supposed social media post that was then taken down and edited, then reposted. It's wild out there. Talking to people with various opinions, including someone who knows way more about history than me, helped me to realize that it probably wasn't just inspired by The Last Supper, with some random blue dude added in randomly. It probably did have other inspirations. But let me be precise and exact with what I'm irritated about. I don't like people attempting to delegitimize the way people emotionally respond to art, and or the denial of obvious visual similarities. I'm irritated with the people who authored articles that ignore the conflicting information in order to make Christians look crazy. I don't want to cancel drag, I don't want to pass laws, and I don't feel attacked. I just kind of feel gaslit by some of these articles. Also, I'm surprised that this is the thing that gets the Olympics canceled. I mean, are you guys aware that there's a convicted child rapist who's competing? I'm glad the internet has its priorities straight. Not gonna lie though, the memes are kinda fire.